before I go into the demo, is kind of set the stage. And if it's okay with you, share with you a couple of thoughts of why we differentiate ourselves. So let's just take a step back, right? There are 72 different benefit administration platforms on the market, 72. And within there are so many different bells and whistles. But what it's become a commodity. It's become payroll essentially, right? What's the difference between ADP and a Paychex, or a Paycom and a Paycor, or Paylocity? That's what the benefit administration world has come. And what we saw was that we had internally over 20 different benefit enrollment systems that different people and different clients had within our organization. So when we went to say and think about how we were going to take the things to the next level, we took it in a way where we looked at various different components from what our clients' experiences were, and we put it together essentially in a room on a whiteboard, and we started bringing clients, we started bringing our producers and our various different components together to say, if we had a perfect system, what would it look like? And then we hired an outside consulting firm to tell us all the nuances between all those 72 different systems. And then we hired a third-party technologies company to say, all right, if we were going to build this from scratch, what would that look like, and how long would it take? And what we ended up coming up with was a combination of the two. We ended up saying, we know that Solarix as an engine really provides us with everything we know from a voluntary benefit perspective, from a health insurance standpoint, and has connectivity to just about every single carrier. But more importantly, especially when you look at the voluntary side, it had all the nuances of the challenges that we needed from an age band standpoint, right? Or a life insurance standpoint, where some of these systems were just built on a core basis, health insurance basis. And then what we wanted to do is say, okay, what is the true differentiation behind it? How do we build something that really changes the way people think and how they react from a benefit standpoint? So what we did was we built this target communication approach. And this is truly the secret sauce that takes two components that are so critical and it brings it together. And then within that, having that full bilingual capability by a click of a button from English to Spanish, and everything changes. Words on the screen, videos, everything in that process from English to Spanish. But if you look at the two things to the right and the left of it, those are our secret sauce. The education mentor, tailored communication and information in the system, and then our communication around that to tell the story ongoing. So what do I mean? The education mentor is a proprietary platform and artificial intelligence that we have in the back end. We take a census data of an organization, it tells a story. That story not only tells us how many employees are within the population, but it also tells us what do they make, how many dependents do they have, where do they live in the country, and various other components. We then take that a step further and we dump it into this platform, which kind of goes out to the web and finds more information, relative information. So what does that really mean? What we do from there is we take that information and we categorize employees into certain buckets based upon values, priorities, and different preferences within what we found. And from there, we tailor language to help educate employees in a manner that's very different. So what do I mean by that? So Mike may go into the system and enroll. He's in a different stage of his life than Brian. Mike's experience are going to be very, very different than Brian's experience. Brian has young children. Mike may have older children. Joe may be coming into the system as a graduate that just graduated out of college. And they're going to be 22 years old in a completely different experience. Should we sell them a life insurance policy with long-term care? Does that make sense? Probably not. The ability to tell that story and having the system know who that person is, and when they get in the system, give them the ability to educate and communicate it based on their needs, their preference, their values. Then we take it even a step further by changing words on the screen, the videos. So the videos that you may see could be very, very different than what I see. And not only that, the campaign around it that tells the story is even more critical. So what does that look like? Then we built this communication campaign that feeds and tells that story. So we break them out into that criteria, and then we have numerous different pieces that we develop with your help and the client's help to tell the story. What products are we offering? Is there something new? Are we offering life insurance and long-term care? Well, let's tell that story, but let's tell that story relevant to each individual person in a manner that they can see it and receive it. So when they do get into our system, they've been touched, whether it's text messages, whether it's videos, whether it's various different mailers and components like you see here. We're going to keep on telling the story. We may even send a text message with a linkage to a video just so they can get comfortable with the education and communication around what we bring to the table. Then we take it a step even further than that, and we start to say, what kind of decision support can we build in this platform to really even take it to the next level? So if you think about TBX, they kind of force you to bundle a product or two products, right? They force you to bundle that accident and CI. In our model, we don't. What we're looking at is certain type of algorithms that tell a story, that show that employee what they need and when they need it based upon those criteria, whether it's income, whether it's where they are in the stage of their life, whether it's buying patterns. And it starts always with health insurance, asking those questions. A lot of similarities to probably what you've seen, but even taking it a step further to really have that employee engage, but not force, not bundle, not tell them that, hey, you only can have an accident policy if you bundle with a CI policy. Some of the other things that we've done is we built around our complete enrollment process. So whether we partner with someone like yourself that has an enrollment entity, but if you don't, we have the capabilities to bring everything full circle. We have a brick and mortar call center in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, with 100 seats. At any given day, we can have over 200 people in that call center. 100 in the morning, 100 at night, and then various different people training throughout that process. We also have the ability to bring people face to face and the combination of that self-service. And collectively as an organization, we enroll about 130,000 people in those peak years, or excuse me, those peak months when enrollments happen. And then we have a centralized technology center of excellence. We have a team of over 32 people now in Grapevine, Texas, that I oversee and manage, that all they do is build. So that process is really simple. You get a client manager that is dedicated to your account, to your firm. And then you have an implementation manager that works with that client manager to help build the workbook, to help build the processes in place, and quarterbacks the enrollment because they understand benefits, they understand the needs of the client, they know what certain things are within a medical or dental or vision or ancillary product. So when the builders are building, they have that quarterback that talks the language that we need them to talk, not that technology language, to build that platform in a timeline and a fashion that fits the needs of you and your client. And as I said, here's a snapshot of our call center, what we bring to the table. So with that said, I'll go into the demo. All right, so I'm going to go into the system. Company logo on the right-hand side. Every time you log into it, there's going to be a different picture, different stage of an employee's life, a family's lives. You're going to get, you can have some customization here. You'll get an ID and password. So we log in. So as you can see, a lot of customization here. Colors, pictures, words on the screen, on the top hand side over here from English to Spanish by the click of a button. Everything goes, even the videos. you have our Enrollment Connect. So if this is connected to a call center, whether it's ours, whether it's yours, whether it's a benefit team on their point or a team that we bring on that can monitor this, it gives them the ability to access an open chat, schedule a call with the call center, or get information to call out to the call center. So kind of giving you that phone to friend option if you like.
Ross, a quick question. Sorry to interrupt you.
No.
Can this be done from the cell phone or tablet of the employee, if need be?
Sure.
Yep.
Okay.
Sure, I can.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
We have a significant amount of stock videos in here. I'll just play it briefly for you just to kind of get an idea. And then if so, we're talking about a 70,000 life organization. Someone to that extent, they may have a global benefit manager or the CEO that kicks off open enrollment every year. They have their own videos. Let's plug them in. No issues there. It's going to introduce those protection portfolios that I talked about, walk them through how we're evaluating it, how we're going to do the decision support, how we recommend the basic, core, enhanced versions of it. And then you have all your benefit options at the bottom. You can always click next on the top or the bottom. You can go down over here to run through your benefits. I'll click next. And then it's going to start walking you through the basics. Personal information, dependent information. Click of a button, add a dependent. And then salary information or employment information. Oops, sorry, excuse me. And then it's going to go into the enrollment experience. It's going to show you on the right-hand side, the calculator, pre and post tax, all the protection portfolios, all the benefits that are being offered, and what you enrolled in last year. And then it's going to start to tell a story. And because it's a demo, that's why I like to kind of walk you through the deck a little bit, because I really can't show you multiple personas. I only can show you just a demo, but depending on who it is, the words on the screen are going to tell a story differently. And we actually craft that out well in advance in the process. And then you're going to ask you to click a box to say you read and agreed upon that you are who you say you are and your dependents are of the age. And then it's going to start the process. And then it's going to ask you a series of questions to start decision support as it relates to medical. Who are you going to cover? How many doctor's visits? How many specialist visits? How many scripts? If you're anticipating a procedure this year, a minor or a major, and then any emergency rooms. Then it's going to go into the first piece. At that point, from what I just did, it's going to recommend the high deductible health plan, and we can plug in as many plans as necessary. And then it's going to show what the total cost out of pocket is. And then it's going to break out what we recommend, what the current is, but also you can drill down even further and compare plans. This is one of my favorite features because not only can you compare plans, but for instance, if you're enrolling as an employee only because your spouse has their own coverage and the kids are with the spouse, you can actually start to break it out here by tier and coverage to see what that total cost would be for you in the situations relevant. Whether it's, how many doctor's visits you're going to have there, and by, just changing some things like specialist visits, it may just jump to PPO. So there's various different things here, how we start that decision support.
So again, Russ, your input is as an employee will drive all the decisions that this is making in terms of life events, like you mentioned, marital status, dependents, relative health of each of your dependents or yourself, this will push you through that and basically tailor it, like you said, to the situation of the employee without much effort up by the employer. I guess, answer a few basics, if you will, and we'll start telling you what's available, what's possible, and then quoting you. It sounds like that was the idea from the get-go, is like to give them a sense of most people are afraid of these things. They don't know what to say, they don't know what to do, and this makes it simple for them and sort of makes it granular and digestible so that they know what they're doing at any given time. I think that's basically what we're trying to go for, right?
That's exactly what we're going for, right? And not only that, you also gotta remember, Joe, that we're continuously communicating before, in enrollment. So, if let's just say you're bringing in accident and critical illness into this group, we're going to tell that story. We're going to hit that home to everybody in the manner based upon who they are, their persona. So it's going to be relevant. So the folks that have kids that are at the ages where they're playing in the playground, playing football, basketball, etc., they're going to be sent videos relevant to children playing and getting injured. So it's really cool how we go about it. And as you noticed, we just went from health insurance. Strategically, we jump into protection portfolio too, which tells the story with our first two sets of voluntary benefits, which is accident and then critical illness.
I do also like the fact that, if you go back one slide, please. I do like the fact that you have basic, core, and enhanced, giving them a variety of choices that they can work with. And, that to me is like, that's the most important thing, is that they are deciding for themselves, right? But you're guiding them through that process.
Right, and recommending them based upon those unique factors where they should go, but they can make the decision, right? So,
right.
And then it's just education. Like, these are generic right now because this is a demo, but the words on the screen are going to be more relative to that individual. And then here's just a sample of a video. They're a whiteboard setting, very easy, and it just tells a story. So, and we have about 20 different products with about 6 to 7 different variations of those products. So based upon who the person is, where they're in the stage of their life, that's what we'll put in there from a video perspective. And then you'll see here, the recommendation is the core, what plans to pick, similar to your TBX environment. You put the overview, we brand it any way you like. In the details section, we can have linkages, we can have plan docs, we can send them to the carrier website if we need to. We can do so many different things. The flexibility is endless. And this is a different type of way we structure this, because with critical illness, there's a guaranteed issue amount. So, and if they go above that guaranteed issue amount, we can allow them to get evidence of insurability. So we can link this out so they can download a form to fill out the evidence of insurability, send it back. Dependent information. And then it's the life insurance. And this is actually the most, I think, technology-driven product, because it really takes into consideration factors. So if I use the analogy I used before of someone out of college, where they're offering a permanent insurance and a term insurance, it will actually potentially not even show them a permanent insurance based upon factors. I want to show you something. Unfortunately, the way the demo is laid out is I have to go through every benefit. So I'm going to go with, unless you guys want me to show you every benefit, I figured.
I'll pick out the key ones.
Okay. So what I wanted to go to is this right here. So at every opportunity that we do, we offer free education around financial wellness. And when you think about long-term care, and Brian and I certainly are the biggest advocates about this is a retirement benefit, right? This goes hand in hand, whether it's a municipality, you're thinking 403B or 457, or you're thinking 401k, taking a life insurance or long-term care, having that conversation along with your retirement, and then throwing in financial wellness. It's key. So what we do is we have our own proprietary financial wellness site. It's a free program. It has over 100 different things that we offer in all those areas: retirement planning, savings for college, Social Security, Medicare. And the beauty of it is we build it into this platform, give it them no cost, free educational. They send their email out right here. Email goes to them, instant access. So,
Well, if I could just interrupt again, Russ, I apologize.
no.
To me, there's a differentiator here, which is if you can offer this benefit and be, concrete about how you offer it. The biggest attrition issue is benefits usually when employers are dealing with this. But conversely, the biggest way to recruit, right, is to have a superior benefits package. And in this case, it would either help you retain good employees or help you recruit them, because again, not a lot of firms are even dealing with this, having the conversation. It's so often associated with people who are more in the senior market, which is not really accurate. So if we're already starting this conversation when they onboard with the company, it's very important. It's very important. And, we, again, look at it from the perspective of if we have employees who have parents in their 60s and 70s and 80s who are going through this now in real time, this is a great thing that's top of mind now. Now we're not talking about 20 somethings, of course, but the older midlife employees will see this and understand that this is a benefit they should pay attention to, and only to your benefit if you have it as an employer. Sorry to go on, I apologize, but it's one of those things I'm really passionate about.
So Joe, I think that there's, I'm sorry, Brian. I think that there's one other place, Joe, that we ought to talk about a product specific offering, and that's in the post-COVID mental health space for the younger population. So you do the financial wellness for the middle-aged population, you do the life with long-term care for that same population, but then how do you address the younger population and all of the issues that they've gone through with COVID and being kept out of the office and socialization and so on and so forth. And there's some awfully good product out there that you could walk in and you could simply say, hey, offer these things as well as your core things, and get a bump in your scores because you're giving people the stuff that they want. I mean, the younger population's freaked out about some of this stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Agreed. No, agreed. Yeah, I
Agreed.
think that's
Agreed.
important. Yeah.
Good point.
Agreed.
Good point.
And the
But again,
beauty
as
of
a differentiator, I think that's the big thing. Or in other words, but the point I'm making is that if we have a strong differentiator, which it sounds like we do here, that makes it much more accommodating to them. It makes our path a little bit easier, not simple, but easier. Would you say that's true, Mark?
Agreed. Yeah.
one of the things that we can do here as well, if let's just say the employer is like, you know what, let's just offer 2 products and that's that for this open enrollment. This demo is geared to a municipality, a school district, but here's something really cool that we did, because we linked this out to as a lead source. We can build in here. Let's just say we wanted to put, Mike, to your point, like an EAP program in, but we wanted to get consensus that if there was any interest. So we can offer it, put a video on what it is, right? And then tell the story and then ask them if they're interested. I mean, this is like, hey, I wish to apply for coverage, but are you interested in this coverage? And if they say yes, click next. They put in their phone number or their email address, and then it becomes a lead generation for us, and or an opportunity to go back to the employer and say, hey, in here, we did this survey, and out of the 70,000 people that went through, 20,000 said they're interested. I'm making up numbers here, but
Nice number. I like it.
right, exactly. So So basically, when we're done with the enrollment, a confirmation statement comes up, but I'd have to go through everything. But for the essence of time, do you guys want to see the back end engine?
Sure.
So, but the beauty here is that you'll have an update of the enrollment, who's completed, who's incomplete, who's not. And then if you click on it, you'll be able to get drilled down directly in there. You can store benefit plan information here, and then the HR team, any deliverables that they want, they can set here and show. Any reporting. So like I added a report in here for a payroll report because HR folks love, payroll reports, but here's a report that we received. We can run it right away. It's sitting here. It's in our box. Every Monday, we can get this payroll report sent to us. You'll have the ability to look at an employee in a light that, so let me go into the enrollment we just went into. So from in here, all their beneficiary information, coverages, all the coverages that they took. And then if they called into the HR department and they were like, hey, I messed up, I shouldn't have enrolled in that, or this looks wrong, or I have a life event, they can just go in here, send an invite to them and send it out. And then from a life event perspective, here are all the standards. Click on it, go through the process, and then sends an email link directly to the employee, and then it opens up an open enrollment for them to make the change with them and their spouse if they got married.
I have a question, Ross, if I may. So if an employee comes in mid-pay cycle and they enroll after, let's say that it's the second pay period and they've enrolled in the first pay period, but the deductions weren't taken. Are they going to double up the deductions in the second pay period? Because in other words, they just missed fractionally getting the first pay period enrollment and extracting or deducting the premium. We had this question previously where, can that be managed by the system where payroll doesn't have to manually go through and correct that problem?
Yeah, it does. And basically, we just need to set that standard in the build process of eligibility and the requirements around it. And the issues occur when we don't have open dialogue about those requirements. So the answer is yes, we can configure it to do whatever we want, as long as whoever their payroll provider is takes in that information. And every major payroll, we do a lot on our system as an organization outside of what Brian and I do. We do a lot in the municipal space, and they're not with ADP. They're with ABC payroll provider that specializes in municipalities in the middle of nowhere. We have direct connectivity into them. So I think the linkage is simple. We just have to set the right structure in place, and we do that during the build and implementation process. And really, the only other thing I really wanted to show you here is reports. We have everything from standard reports, benefit summaries, census information, carrier payroll reports, if they're with a TPA, COBRA administrator, ACA reporting, and we have connectivity. We own our own ACA reporting organization, but we can work with any third party as well. But what we typically do, which I think is very unique, is in the implementation and build process, we'll sit down with the team and we'll say, hey, what kind of reports do you have today? And we actually customize them if they're not in their standard report. So we start that process on the early on stage and say, hey, what are the 4 or 5 reports that are most important to you? If we don't have them, let's customize them to their liking. They're Excel formatted. So, hey, I need this report every Friday. So every Friday it will be in those deliverables because we'll run it automatically. So we have the ability to do some things like that, which is great.
And then Russ, you guys take responsibility for coming up with a consolidated bill to the employer. And do you disperse the money to the carriers? back through the system with the reporting, eligibility reporting to the carriers? How's that work?
So we can, we
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
typically, we have a third-party administrator that does that. It all depends on the carriers that we're doing business with, if they're integrated into it. But majority of the time, we just put together reporting and we send it off to the client so they can make the bills themselves.
Got it.
But Mike, if
Is
need
the-
be, yes, we have those capabilities.
We do,
Yeah,
exactly.
There's no charge for sending eligibility to the carriers or anything like that. So you get onto a daily or weekly or monthly feed with the medical carrier, all of that kind of stuff. You guys handle all of that cost.
We handle all that stuff, right? So part of that 32-person team is a team that just specializes in EDI files.
Yeah.
Any questions?
Oh, I had a question about when you're doing a transition for a firm and we ran into this previously, their HR department is just like a 1 or 2 person team. How you support them and how you make the transition, fluid for them and give them as much, support as possible, because we're looking at larger cases now, and the idea that there's a lot of legacy issues that are involved, a lot of regulatory things that they have to comply with, and how do you manage those challenges, I guess, is my question.
Yeah, so it's twofold. We learn from experience, Joe, and the model has just changed. It really has. First and foremost, what we're doing is we are hiring more account managers to not only help and hold the hands of the client, but from an implementation perspective, be in there and these account managers are coming from enrollment companies or from brokerage houses that have done voluntary benefit enrollments. Health insurance is not the problem here. You guys know that as well as I do. Health insurance typically is never the issue. The issue is always coming from a voluntary benefit or an ancillary benefit or a connectivity from an EDI file from a payroll or something from that extent. So a lot of those come from those builders not understanding what a program looks like, what a short-term disability program is, what long-term care is. So when they see the nuances when we're doing testing, those are when the errors occur. But now when we have a benefit team and an account management team in there looking at it, quarterbacking it, having those things, it becomes a game changer. But what does it do for you? The first and foremost, you're going to have that person that's building out that workbook with you. We're going to sit there and be able to put the products in place and help build out that workbook. That's the first big piece of the puzzle. The second piece to that is having the strict timeline in place where there's roles and responsibilities for all parties. And then the ongoing support, not from a technology perspective, but from that person that is your quarterback, right? That technology standpoint will give you it because the client manager is dealing with it. Where we fall on the sword is if a builder is in communication with the client. That's the worst possible situation. So what we want the builder to do is build. We want to have our implementation and our client managers talk the language. So I hope I answered that for you.